Good morning, traders. So how do we trade the DAX today? Now, yesterday we left us with a very large indecision bar. So this is a range bar. So essentially, if we just go back a couple of days, we had a massive engulfing red candle. We then had an inside bar, and now we've got a range bar. And although we've had a moving average crossover, the moving averages are pointing to the downside, and I suspect we're going to get another crossover, which is going to push us, which is going to indicate that we're moving to the downside. So our oscillators are sort of screaming bounce, but we're not getting the bounce. Okay, so what we have to do is just pay very careful attention here. Get to the 4 hour, and you can see yesterday we had a massive move down. Okay, well, sorry, it wasn't yesterday. It was that was the day before. We'll see that on the hour. But what we do have here is we've got all these tails to top and bottom, barbed wire, small bodies, and this is an indication that the market is very confused as to what's going on. So there are people that are taking the longs off the levels, and there are people that are taking the shorts off the levels, but nobody's really got a clear direction. So in other words, we need these two fractional levels to give way. Okay, so it's this fractional here and that fractional there. Challenge with that is it is a pretty big 257 point range that we need to break through. Okay, so if we look at the 1 hour, you'll see we can actually tidy up the fractals a little bit more and bring in that fractal there. Okay, now the important thing to realize here is that we do have a low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. So for all intents and purposes, we are trending up. Okay, and yesterday was just an extremely volatile day. If you look, the day before it was a pretty solid trend, and then all of a sudden we get these massive moves. And you would think with this big inside bar here on the hour that we would have had a nice move, and then you're looking for a second move. Second move can still come, but looking at the higher time frames, I just see volatility here and indecision. Okay, the other thing that I pointed out is the day before we had this trend line. We broke through, we broke above it, we broke down, we come back to test it. So again, ignore that. And the key element here is we do have the 200 EMA that we are bouncing off again on the 1 hour. On the 4 hour, that is quite far up, and you see that the moving averages haven't crossed over and they're still pointing to the downside. So yeah, if we just follow the moving averages, in other words, we deleted price off this, we would be selling. Okay, so there has been a crossover here, the moving averages. Nothing really concrete. Nothing concrete at all. So, for me, these two fractal levels are the ones that we need to watch out for. Okay, we're pretty much not going to get, I don't think any strategy is going to help you at the moment. If we just go to the ichimoku, that's probably the closest one. But you can see how we've got flat Kijunsen, flat Tikensen. We're sitting in the cloud. We are below Kijunsen here. So on the 1 hour, a break below that is going to bring some downside. But based on what's happened the last 2 days now, there is no trend. It is all over the place. So I'd be very wary of trying to find a trend trade at the moment. Okay, the big thing here is we are below Kijunsen and Tikensen at this stage. We've had a twist in the cloud and we've broken through price. So for me, definitely looking at shorts. Okay, that's probably the most logical thing to do. But I don't like trading when we're ranging, and I often look at the ichimoku just to check what's going on. And you can see when we flat like this on the 4 hour, when Kijunsen and Tikensen's flat, to me that's ranging. We need to be pointing up, or at least one of them pointing up. preferably both, which gives me the indication that we are trending up or down. Okay, so looking at the daily, you can see we are flat as well. Okay, so there's nothing really to write home about in the ichimoku. You can see on the half hour for the last 3 days we're just going up and above the clouds, so there's no direction there. And the other one that you need to have a look at would be your Bollinger. Now Bollinger on the 30, also flat. There's no squeeze brewing. There's no direction. You can see we shoot above the Bollinger, come back in, touching the Bollinger at the moment. Nothing really to write home about. Half hour, same thing. Going from the one side of the Bollinger to the other side, but just still sitting in the middle. Now, this is something that I often look at on the Bollinger Bands as well. You can see that we are hovering around the 20 moving average on the 4 hour. And more than likely, we'll be doing the same on the daily. There you go. Okay. Now, the daily is starting to head into a squeeze, and we are sitting on the 20. Now, basically, what that means, you'll often be able to draw a trend line like this, and a trend line like that, which will give you a triangle, and that triangle will be slap bang center of the Bollinger Bands on the 20 moving average. And that is what I think we need to watch for at the moment. So we'll just do that. Just tidy this up a little bit. There you go. Okay, it's not exact, but you get my drift. So this is kind of what we need to be watching at the moment. So the longer it stays here, and what you may find is it'll do this, back down, back there, back there. Just keep consolidating in this area here. And you're not really seeing it on the hour at the moment, but it's definitely there on the bigger time frames. Now, if I look at this on the daily, this could also be seen as a, not quite a wedge, but a megaphone formation, if I go like that. Megaphone formation, so this was the move down, consolidation, megaphone formation, and now we're looking for a break for a continuation of this move. Now remember what I've been saying, if we do get the continuation of this downward move, then this big weekly head and shoulders is going to play a big role. Okay, so this one here. Okay, so yeah, so you can see, it's always wise to keep different templates with different strategies on, and then you'll see that one strategy will show you something that others don't. And that often happens. It's often the case when you're not sure of the direction that we're going in. But for me, this at the moment is really starting to round. So if I do that, then we do that, then we do that. Can you see how we are rounding and just keep moving to the downside? So this could very well accelerate off this 200 moving average on the weekly. So this is all that's holding us up at the moment. Okay, so this 200 moving average goes on the weekly. I'm pretty confident that we'll get this head and shoulders play out. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of my view at the moment. It's a dogfight, you can see that, that's for sure. But I think the bias should be to the downside. And if I just come back to our 926 strategy and look at the half hour, you can see this. I mean, if you'd taken the break here and moved your stop here, you can see all the stops that were triggered on this bar here. Then you saw the people that were coming in this area here, getting short here, and then you can see the stops getting triggered, and then all of a sudden it reverses. So now there are institutions or algorithms or computers, whatever you want to call it, that are definitely playing against what your retail traders are trying to trade at the moment. Okay, so we're all trying to trade structure, and they're trying to trigger all the stops, because what they're looking for, they trigger the stop here, they see how much they can get. They get 50 points. 50 points with a couple of million contracts is a sizable chunk of money. Okay, last thing to do here is just delete the noise. And if you look very carefully here, you'll see there was a wedge. Okay, we've had a break and what looks like to be coming to be a retest. Okay, so that being said, we put all this together today. We have a few things that we need to worry about. So the first one is this fractional level here. Okay, so breaking below this fractional level, and you can see it's quite important over the last couple of days, and we have broken it already. So just bear that in mind. Okay, we broke this level here, but we have formed a higher fractional here. Right, so we do have a crossover of the moving averages that is indicating downward trend, although they're flat. This is kind of in the middle of nowhere, the stochastics, and the Williams percentage R has bounced off the top here. Okay, no divergence to speak of except for this one here, which is our wedge. Now, the wedge target has been met. Okay, there's our wedge target there. Wedge target's been met, but what could happen here is we could pull back, test this, and then move the upside. Okay, so now you can see how these two fractional levels are playing a role. So a break below 11,350, that's it. Yeah, a break below 11,350, you can expect more downside. A break above 11,463, you can expect more upside. And unfortunately, I would not be looking, well, definitely not looking at swing trades at the moment until we get a clear change in direction and a trend change. At this stage, we got nothing. Okay, so that's kind of the view at the moment. And if we just do a short little climb up there, and we do another one sort of here, you'll see that is our consolidation pattern at the moment. So we're looking for a break somewhere out of this pattern, and these two fractional levels are the key at the moment. So I would expect us to bounce around here some more this morning before picking a direction. So lastly, let's just have a look at what's happening currently. DAX futures down 0.28%, 11,364. Pretty close to where we are at the moment. Yeah, well, a little bit of a gap down at the moment. So yeah, I probably would expect more downside, to be honest with you. Delete that. And probably a break of this triangle, and everything ties up at the end of the day. That's pretty much our triangle target, which is also our second move here. Okay, so there's the first move, second move. The second move takes us down to 11,254, which breaks this low, which also brings us into this zone of resistance here, which makes sense. So that's kind of what I think you should be playing for today. Just look for a move. Even if we do bounce up a little bit, so long as we don't break this fractional, that would be my stop level there. But what I'd like to see is sort of move down onto this trend line, come up, close a gap, touch the top trend line, and then probably take a stab at a short there, which would be a 65-point stop loss, but 65-point risk for 167-point gain. That's kind of the trade that I'm looking at today. Breaks the upside, obviously, then that's off. Then we're looking for a move to the upside. So just watch this level here. This level has to break. And if you do manage to get a trade high up here, just underneath this 200 moving average, if we look on the hour, so you can see, we do have nice engulfing, but this could just be profit taking from the day. So I would reckon that whatever we do get, it's well worth taking the short, just keeping the stop above this 200 moving average on the hour, and then play it from there. Okay, so that's kind of my take on this. But I'm also not 100% convinced that we're going to do that as well. We may just sort of get caught up somewhere down here on this level here, and then bounce all the way to the top and try and form a range at this stage. Okay, so anyway, guys, that's my view on the DAX for today. Bias is the downside. Stop is above this 200 moving average. If you do get stopped out, I don't see anything else. If I do see something else, I'll put it on the channel. But I think the trade for today is going to be another short. Okay. Anyway, guys. Oh, sorry. Before we leave, let's just tidy this noise. The important factor here is we do have this range bar. If we do break this range bar to the downside, okay, so in other words, we do get a daily close below this daily fractal here, which is, if we get a daily close below 11,292, you can pretty much expect 242. There we go, inside tail. You can pretty much expect us to target the previous lows here, and I would be aiming for 11,080. Okay, so that's if we get a daily close. And we get a daily close below here, but if we get a daily close down the bottom here, pretty much you're going to be so close to it. So, yeah. So I think target 1 is obviously going to be your measured move. Let's just get that again. So target number 1 will be this measured move here. Okay. So that's target 1, which is 11,248, which ties up with all these things. And then what you're going to be doing is this bottom level is the next target. Okay. So if this measured move 11,248 breaks, then you're looking for this move to the downside here. Okay. And that is 11,080. Anyway, guys, that's my take on the DAX for today. I hope it helps, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Cheers for now.